Welcome to Investify Overshares. So this is our first video that we are going to do and talk about the general market as in New Zealand.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I'm ready to answer any questions that you have.
Cool, let's go. So, I'm Simon. I'm leading the interviewing process of Kevin, Investify's founder and specialist investment researcher, and wearer of many hats this morning. Big event last night, obviously. The Labour government, with the support of Winston Peters, was announced in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So I think the first question on everyone's mind is, what does that mean for the country? But the second question on a lot of investors' minds is, what does that mean for the share market?
Well, first of all, it's been quite a bit of a wait till the government was being formed. So there can be a positivity in terms of whether we have got a government now. So it's confirmed that we have got a government now. But saying that, a coalition government is not a very good thing for a country. It will probably be better if you have a single majority government in the country. Saying that, also national is more looked at as a business, as a party that will initiate more business and things like that. And Labour is on the other side, saying that it's not right to say that they will not initiate or improve business around the country. It's not good for businesses that run in New Zealand. As a result of that, what we have seen overnight is a drop in share market. So there has been, I think the New Zealand Stock Exchange went down, the NZX 50 went down by about 1 point something percent. There is a big drop in New Zealand dollars, which happened overnight. I remember last night I was watching it, it dropped about 1.7% at one time. The main reason is, like Winston Peters has been over the press saying that the New Zealand dollars is overvalued. Now, the other thing that we can think about is there's two major things that I would say that is important to look at. One is the housing, and the second is the ports. So which ports is something Winston Peters has been talking to the press about, saying moving a lot of work from airports around the country to Northland. And the other is immigration, where they have got a policy of they're talking about a policy where they're trying to restrict foreign buyers into New Zealand.
So on housing,
Yeah.
if the housing market starts to drop,
Yes.
could that actually be a good thing for the New Zealand share market as more capital starts to become available and capital starts to be more attracted to shares rather than...
Well, New Zealand traditionally has never been a very big, share investment country. So most of our investment, I just can't think of the exact figure, but the majority of our investment has always been property. Now, if the property market is dropping, you will probably see. So it's going to be a good thing for first-time buyers, but there is a lot of investors who have gone and bought in houses as an investment property. They will probably see a big drop in their investment assets value, and unless until you panic and start selling it off, I would see that there is not. Most of them I would see probably sit on the property and not sell it off. I'm talking about people who have invested in property. What it means for companies in the building sector, probably a reduction in revenue. So companies like Fletcher Building, so they will probably see that the forecast that they had for this much buildings that needs to be done, that will slow the process down. And I mean, the other thing is, yes, people might have cash in some of them and try to invest in the market, but at the same time, what it needs to be then, there needs to be much more transparency, there needs to be much more knowledge idea about what companies are out there, which is doing really well, which are good investments and things like that.
Sure. And then conversely, the Labor governments have always been a big fan of savings
Yeah.
and a bit of government mandated savings and looking at something like restarting contributions to the super fund,
Yeah.
maybe re-upping KiwiSaver contributions to
Yeah.
4% plus 4%.
Yes.
That would have a flow-on effect to a bit more money in the New Zealand market.
Yes, yes, that will be. I mean, KiwiSaver is, me personally, I believe it's a great thing, because in daily life we always struggle to save aside. If you go by one of the biggest investors ever to be born in this world, Warren Buffett, Warren Buffett's main one of the things that he always says is that you save first, then you spend. Whereas we go the other way, we spend first and then whatever's left is saved. So I do believe with this government there will be emphasis on savings. I don't know what their policies are going to be with KiwiSaver, but KiwiSaver has done really well over the years, grown from a small fund to big fund. What I would love to see is the reintroduction of the $1,000 kickstart. It's because I think it gives people a bit of a push to start it.
Yeah.
Without that, I think what the national government did with taking the $1,000 off was probably not a good move. I believe there's a drop in the number of KiwiSavers signed up since that has happened.
Okay. So the next big question, I think, on everybody's lips with policy around this coalition government is going to be infrastructure, right?
Yes.
You've got more roads. Winston Peters wants more roads and infrastructure built to Northland. That's his safe ground now.
Mhm.
That's where he wants to benefit. He's obviously talking about moving the port.
Yeah.
He's always believed in keeping New Zealand assets in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So looking at stuff like Auckland International Airport,
Yes.
that could be another place where this government has a bit of say in
Mhm.
who owns those shares.
Yeah.
What are your sort of outlooks? Maybe let's start with the ports decision because that's the
Yes.
big one.
Yes.
What's your outlook for
So
where that's going?
there are 3 ports that are listed on the stock market, but we principally will. I mean, the most successful one is Port of Tauranga that has done fabulously well over the years. I think it's a really well managed company that has steadily shown growth in revenue and given good dividends to the investors. The other one that comes into play now is the Northland Port. The company that is listed is called Marsden Maritime Holding. So with the outlook or the forecast that a lot of work is going to now move towards the Northland Port, investors should look at it as a positive news for Marsden Maritime Holding. I believe the company has gone up about 2% today in the morning since the government was announced last night. So that's something that I will definitely keep a keen eye on, where it's going, what kind of contracts they are winning and things like that. Which, I mean, at the end of the day, we at Investify, we just want to simplify everything for people who are interested in the share market. So, I mean, it's in a simplified version. If a company which is a good forecast for revenue growth, their share price is going to go up. So Marsden Maritime Holding is something I definitely will watch out. The other company that's in perspective is Port of Tauranga. Now, as I said, obviously it will have an impact on their revenue sources in the future, but there is nothing to worry about as much because government policies takes time to implement. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be just today I said it, tomorrow it's going to happen. So I believe Port of Tauranga is a really well managed company, and it's given good returns over the years to the shareholders. So people who hold the stocks, I would probably still say they still should keep holding on the stock.
Cool, excellent. And what about other state-owned assets or partially state-owned assets? You've got Air New Zealand, you've got the airport,
Yes.
you've got all of these partially state-owned, partially listed companies.
Yes.
What do we expect to see from them? Nothing
So-
drastic?
So the majority of it's the power companies. So you got
Yeah.
Genesis, there's Macquarie, there is Mighty River Power, and all those things. So I would be very interested to see what the government policies is going to be regarding those companies which they hold a share in. In New Zealand, the government has reduced their holding over the years. Auckland Airport, because these companies, especially in terms of Auckland Airport and Air New Zealand, I don't think there will be much of a policy from the government which will harm these companies in a big way, because they are really iconic New Zealand companies and well known around the world. So if something bad happens to them, it's going to be a bad image for New Zealand. So I do believe that the government, although they won't be as business friendly as National is supposed to be, or I should say the Labour is not perceived to be as business friendly as National is, but I don't think they will do much of a policy differentiation which will affect the business in a big way, because that is not a good face for them.
Cool. And then the other thing I think that's really interesting is affordable housing is
Yeah.
a really big issue in New Zealand. Obviously,
Yes.
there are some pretty big builders listed on the stock exchange.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of them's had some issues this year.
Yes.
The biggest one,
Yes.
Fletcher Building.
Yes.
Does the fact that Labor want to build 10,000 more houses a year
Mm-hmm.
bode well for these big builders?
Yes,
in terms of more
absolutely,
work being available?
absolutely. It's not only about Fletcher Building. Any companies that are associated with the building industry, once you have got more housing coming up, they all will be benefited. And as you said earlier, Winston Peters, one of his stance is building up infrastructure, building more roads and things like that. So, they will all be benefited with all this big infrastructure work that is going on. So there is no doubt about it. So those are the sectors that people should be really watching.
Cool, awesome. And then, with a New Zealand context, looking over to Australia, is there anything in Australia that we would see where Australian companies might be experiencing some impact from what's going on in New Zealand? Obviously, we're a pretty small, insignificant dot.
Yes, well, any significant Australian companies that got big businesses in New Zealand. The first thing comes to my mind is the 4 banks. They will obviously have kind of some repercussion over what's happening in New Zealand, because as you know, the big four banks, the main principal revenue source of banks are mortgages. So when people go buy a house, they take out a loan from banks and things like that. So in the last 3-4 months, we have seen a big reduction in mortgages getting done through the banks. With the LVR, everything has tightened and things like that. But I believe it was all because of the previous government's policies. Now they should be keenly watching what the new government's policies are, whether they are going to reduce the restrictions around that LVR, and if they do, then banks will be out there lending again, and which should increase their future revenues definitely.
Great, and obviously the Australian housing market with respect to the big banks has its own challenges. We'll cover those another day, probably.
Yes, absolutely.
They're a bit meaty for us to take on today.
Yeah, well,
But
Australia is a big market, Australia. Australia. There is so many different companies. It's a huge stock market. There's people who are more interested in selling and buying shares. I would just like to mention one of the companies that we first covered in Investify is Galaxy Resources. When we have covered it, it was when we took out the report, it was about $1.92. and I believe today it's been trading at about $3.40 something. So it's gone over it's done a big jump. So Australia is one of the markets that New Zealand should look at investing in, because the shares, there's more volume traded and things like that, saying that there are great companies in New Zealand Stock Exchange as well.
Cool. And so speaking of an Australian company that's got a huge New Zealand presence, in fact the biggest Australian presence in New Zealand, speaking of one of the big four banks,
Yeah.
the ANZ Bank,
Yes.
obviously some big news this week, in the media at least, with former Prime Minister John Key being appointed the chairman of the board. Is he just the chairman of the board for the New Zealand group of the bank?
Yes, that's what I believe.
Great. So, and does that, obviously he was a bit of a polarising
Yes.
Prime Minister.
Yes.
Lots of the country loved him, lots of the country didn't love him.
Yes.
But his business background is second to none. He's obviously on the board of Air New Zealand now. He's obviously got a huge experience at Merrill Lynch on the foreign exchange desk.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you think his appointment bodes pretty well for the future of ANZ in New Zealand?
To be honest, this is something that we will have to wait and see. I believe ANZ appointed him with the belief that National is going to form the government. Obviously, if National formed the government, John Key would have been more helpful.
Now
it's gone the other way. So now it's gone the other way. So I don't know what it will be. I don't think it's going to be as easy as it would be if National was forming the government. But saying that, he's a well-connected person. He's definitely got years of experience, and he will definitely bring value to the board. And ANZ has got board members. There's Ralph Norris, who's really well known, and things like that. So ANZ has got a board which is really experienced. So adding John Key is definitely a good move.
Great. Now I'm going to do something. I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to start a timer. We're going to do your 5 things to watch, 5 shares to watch, or market things to watch, and you have 60 seconds to do each.
Just give me a second. Let me quickly think about 5 shares. So are we doing New Zealand shares or Australian shares?
We are doing any shares that are on Investify. Okay. So we'll do whatever you choose. It doesn't even have to be a share. It could just be a market trend, a sector to look out for, that sort of thing. I'm just keeping them honest, given it's the first episode of Overshares.
Just give me a seat.
He loves being put on the spot. Who's first?
So the first, I would go with Australian market. One of the companies that I mentioned was Galaxy Resources. I think this is the company that you should watch out for. They're basically lithium. They're basically running mining operations, getting lithium, and they have secured big contracts in China. And once that news has been, their share price has been skyrocketing.
So they're responsible for batteries.
Yes, see, I'm not too sure if people are aware of it. There is, the growth in smartphone usage in China has gone up exponentially. It's amazing to see what they are using it for. So I believe with that it is.
What's your recommendation?
So I think it's people should buy it.
Buy it.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Next up, what you got?
Next up is again Australia. That is Aristocrat Leisure. They are in gaming. I think with sports betting and all those things that's coming up, they have actually done really well over the years. That is a company that people should watch out for. I would believe that should be something that people should buy.
Great. So what do they do? Sports betting, gaming?
Yes.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
So if you like a punt,
yes,
on the share market, you probably know someone who wants a punt on sports.
Yes, absolutely.
And mobile apps, it's getting more and more popular, right?
Yes.
So
absolutely.
they're one to watch.
Yes.
Aristocrat Leisure.
Aristocrat Leisure. Yeah.
Cool. So what you got for me next?
Oh, can you pause?
Oh man,
I need
this
to.
is going to be quick fire.
Yeah. So,
Cool. So what's next?
so next one again is Australia. Is Bapcor.
So what do they do?
So Bapcor is the company that holds super cheap auto.
Ah,
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah. So they are a automotive accessories company. Um, they have recently, I believe, had done an acquisition of Hellerby Holding, or they were, yeah. So Hellerby Holding was listed in Australia, in New Zealand,
Okay.
and
Pellaby Holdings.
yeah, Hellerby Holding,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. And so I believe they have got a good future in terms of number of super cheap stores that they have got, and with increase in automotive usage and things like that, I think Bapcor is one to watch out for.
Cool. Excellent. Who's next?
Next is one of my favorite, which is A2 Milk, which is listed in the New Zealand market and the Australian market.
So what's special about A2 Milk?
So A2 Milk produces milk and baby formula from the A2. A2, so it's basically cow's milk that's got the A2 protein
Yeah, right.
in it. So with A2 Milk, I remember I used to watch that stock when it used to be about 50 cents, and there was people who always say that this is a penny stock, it's not going anywhere and things like that. But if you look at long-term future and long-term prospect, because the world needs protein. So today, from that 50 cents period, A2 Milk has gone to $7 something last
Wow.
time I checked, which is a big jump.
And more to come?
Probability, yes, I think it will be.
Great. Cool. And finally, what's last?
I have been telling about stocks that to buy. Now I'm just gonna talk about a stock that people should reduce from their holding. Is a very well-known and iconic TV company called TradeMe. We covered TradeMe a month back when wood was about $4.51, and at that time we recommended that people should reduce it. Now the stock is trading about $4.30, and the biggest reason that we believe that TradeMe's earnings growth is going to be subdued is because of the big entry of Amazon in Australia, and it's not very far away that it will enter New Zealand.
Yeah.
And that will definitely affect the revenue growth of TradeMe.
So TradeMe's future prospects are looking a little
Subdued
tough.
at the moment,
Yeah.
and tough, yeah, unless and until there is something, drastic change. I don't think there is any growth prospect in revenue for TradeMe.
cool. And so that probably draws us to a close of Overshares 1. Is
Yes.
there anything else that you think's worth talking about today?
Oh, I mean, the thing is, shares. I know New Zealand as a country is not a big investor in share market, but one of the main reasons I believe it is like this because there's not enough transparency, there's not enough knowledge or resources available. So I do believe that people should look into investing in share market as another option rather than just going to property.
But they need some education to do it, right?
Yes, absolutely. And at the end of the day, just don't believe in what your financial advisors and your brokers say. I'm not sure if you know about the joke or the joke about brokers is the first 5 letters says what they do, which is basically broke. I'm not taking anything out on the brokers. There are some really good brokers out there, and also there is something about analysts is why God created equity analysts, just to make the weather forecasters look good. But at the end of the day, no one really cares about your money more than you, and
Yeah.
you should be able and equipped enough to know what is right and what is wrong.
Great.
There should be enough study and enough understanding of if a person is saying this, does it make sense? You should have that tool to use, so you know whether that fits into whatever your broker or your advisor or anybody is saying in the market.
Great. So, and I think that's a nice little plug for Investify at the end of Overshares.
Yes.
So that's a nice little plug for investify.co.nz. If you haven't heard of Investify or you haven't been there yet, head to investify.co.nz, or you can follow Investify on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn,
Yes.
Instagram,
Yes.
any other social media sites. Who knows?
Yeah,
we'll see how
well,
we go.
who knows what it's going. I mean, there is this. I mean, Investify is just in its very early stage. I mean, there is a lot of things happening at the back. Of course, I cannot reveal all of them because it's classified.
Top secret.
So at the moment, people should look at Investify as an online library where they can access research, independent research on stock listed in the Australia and New Zealand market. We have got aim to cover around 250 companies in the next few months, so all of them will be available. I just on that note, there are a lot of newsletters that you will probably get from sources where you have to ask the questions whether we are really independent or not. Investify is not associated with any brokerage, any companies. We don't help you to buy and sell stocks. So we are really independent and give an unbiased opinion on the stocks listed in the stock market.
Great. So I think for more Investify Overshares, make sure you follow us on social media, or you subscribe, or look us up online.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend. Enjoy Labour Weekend if you're in New Zealand. If you're in Australia, tough luck. You've got to work on Monday. Thanks for watching Overshares.
Yeah. Have a great weekend.